All right. Well, I am super stoked to be here today on behalf of Uniquely One Community, and we have a very special guest with us today, Shawna DeWitt. Am I saying that correctly?
DeWitt.
DeWitt. Sorry about that.
Uh-huh.
She is a midwife. She is a certified professional midwife, and I have some personal experience with Shawna through my own home birth and just fell in love with who she is as a person and what she offers through midwifery. So grateful to have her on here and just to share a little bit with our community about midwifery. I think there's a lot of like unknowns about midwifery and who uses it and what does that look like. And so um, she has tons of experience around the globe and also here stateside. And I do want to mention that she is located in Colorado in Chaffee County, but Shawna does do telehealth appointments, or is that what it's called? Online. So
Yeah, I do telehealth consultation, virtual visits.
yeah.
Yeah, and that will be expanding in the coming year for sure.
Oh, it's wonderful. Love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my background with Shawna. I'm super stoked to be here and learn more about what she does also. So I'll just let you take it away. And if there's anything like that you want to say about yourself and your experience or anything, you can start with that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm so excited to be here too, and I really appreciate being asked. Yeah, we have some connection in a variety of different ways and look forward to continuing that connection. Um, I have been a midwife. I've been a doula. I've been a childbirth educator. I just moved back to Colorado after many years away, and I worked back east at both a birth center and in a home birth practice. And I've worked overseas as a traveling midwife in a variety of situations. So yeah, just really excited to be back in Colorado, where I'm from, and grounded. Um, yeah, and just let me know, like, if there are particular things. I do offer home birth services and also kind of a la carte prenatal care in person. There are some people who just are wanting a little bit more information and a little bit more presence. So I kind of do some one-off visits just with people. And that's a little bit what I offer virtually too. There are a lot of people all over the states living in care deserts who just don't really have access to high quality healthcare around preconception, pregnancy, birth, postpartum. And there are a lot of people kind of wanting more information around having a really healthy pregnancy. And it's really my favorite thing to talk about. So yeah, I offer a lot of virtual care as well. And it just looks like kind of sitting with people one-on-one for about an hour and going through whatever is pertinent to them. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
A huge asset and such a need. And I like that you said that you do one-offs because sometimes I think people just, like you said, they need more information or maybe they need
mm,
some like comfort around a situation that's arising in their pregnancy or
yeah,
so I love that. And I also wanted to mention, Shawna, that one of the things that really draws me to you is your holistic approach and your
mhm,
heart for nutrition. That's a
mhm,
big component of what we teach here at Uniquely One. And so I love
mhm.
that you bring that and just the value there. And um, but you got some great questions for me. And so I wanted to kind of start with uh, let's see. So the first thing was like informed decision making and how that differs from informed consent. So can you
Yeah,
explain a little bit about that to us?
yes. Well, these questions are kind of going to like veer into each other, but one really foundational thing about care, midwifery care, and the care I offer in particular is I think we've come a long way in healthcare around informed consent, making sure that people have information before they agree to something. A little bit of a difference in philosophy around that is that informed consent somewhat implies that I have a path that I'd really like you to take, and I'm going to give you enough information to say yes. um, and informed decision making is a little bit more like here's kind of something that might be coming up for you. So an example could be something around testing.
Mm.
Um, here is all the information about what that test is, why you might want to do it, what it might look like if you decline. Here are a lot of different ways you could do it. And here are different paths you could take with the information. Um, I want to make sure that people have all of the information so that the decision making around their healthcare is in their power.
Mhm.
I don't really have an agenda for how people, what they do with the information. You know, I really understand that nobody knows better about their body and their family and what they want than the person I'm helping find the resources for. So, yeah, I think that's a little bit of the difference is that consent is more like there's a system, I want you to fit into it, and informed decision making is like how can I fit into what's best for you and make sure that you have all of the information to really make an informed decision. So yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Um, mhm. It
There's like,
seems nuanced, but it's not really, you know?
no, it's not. And I think when we have that personal freedom to make those choices, um, there's just a confidence more in our health and a confidence, like
Mhm.
definitely when you're talking about home birth, it's like you feel more
Mhm.
in the driver's seat. Like, no, I made
Mhm.
that decision. I feel good about it. Like I put all the information together. And so I
Yeah,
really, really appreciate that. Wow, that's
yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Yeah. And it's somewhat, you know, kind of you just touched on a little bit another topic we were going to check in about today, which is um what it's like to really have a nourished experience.
Mm,
And I think that that goes along with that in some ways too. Um, you know, my whole view of healthcare in general, not just related to pregnancy and birth, is when we are really nourished, when we're doing a lot of preventative care, self-care, eating well, doing all of the things, we're most likely going to have a healthy path.
mm,
Um, and that's kind of what how I approach pregnancy too, is like, let's really give this person all the information that they need, all the all the information to make a decision about their care, to have a really, really healthy, nourished pregnancy. And then the likelihood that they'll have a really healthy, nourished birth is really high.
mm,
And you know, it's interesting. I often have people ask about safety related to home birth. And I think for everybody, that definition is really different. So I really check in with people about that. You know, at home, we don't have an OR down the hall. That's what we don't have. But we will sit together for these long visits and talk about all the ways for you to be as healthy as possible. And I think what we know, evidence-based information, is when you do preventative care, you're very likely to have better health outcomes. So from my approach, I really feel like that contributes to people having a safer experience when they are actually healthy and well versus just maybe eating poorly, not exercising, not really being nourished, and then going into a hospital with an OR down the hall. That's not necessarily going to keep you safe. You know, it's not necessarily going to lead to a healthy experience. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm really helping people go for, is a really healthy experience in all of the ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Are there, this isn't a question that we chatted about, but are there like certain protocols of people that you do accept or people that you're like, hey, like maybe we should work on a few things or
Mm.
yeah. Can you share a little
Mhm.
about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, one part about having a baby at home is I do only accept low risk people into care.
Mhm.
So home birth statistics are actually really wonderful, but I mean, we do have to understand that they're a little skewed actually, because I do only accept low risk people into care. So, um, yeah, there are things that could make someone not an ideal person or the baby not an ideal person for a home birth.
Mm.
And that is why we have all the wonderful tools that we have at the hospital. I can get a little pushy, I would say, in care around what people eat and how they move their body. I can get a little kind of when there's a ton of stress in their life. I think that's a big thing that we just don't wrap into that being whole and well. And I see it be a huge factor in really, contributing to somebody not having a healthy experience, honestly. Um, so yeah, is there anything like if people were like, I'm eating a ton of ice cream, I wouldn't be like, you can't have a home birth, but I would just check in about that and what that looks like. And I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Like I want to make sure that people have the information and that they're approaching risk in a way that they're kind of comfortable with. And if it really veers somewhere where I'm just like, listen, we have to eat something other than tater tots, like, but I haven't ever had that because usually people coming to me are people who are really wanting a a next level experience. So they're willing to do the work.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess I would say just on the tail end of that, I'm very clear with my clients that we are in a collaborative relationship. I can only come with the things that I come with, the information and the tools and the willingness. But having a healthy experience is the responsibility of my clients. So I really expect them to do their work. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I like that about you, Shawna. I think that's a great attribute.
Thanks.
Because we need okay, so I think you know that my background is hospital. Like I came from postpartum. That was my last hospital nursing job. And you get told everything to do as the patient.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I transitioned into midwifery care, I kind of wanted that and it was
Mm-hmm.
given to me. But it
Right.
really makes you think on your own 2 feet. It makes you dial into your own body.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about stress and wow, I teach this in my courses, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this now where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy to be like, give me another supplement, or I can
Right.
walk for 5 more minutes. But stress, you have to do the hard work. And it's
Mm-hmm.
here and it's here and it's what you eat and it's all the layers of things. And so I'm so glad that you touched on that. And I think it's such an important part for our audience to key into.
Mm-hmm.
It affects our egg quality, it affects our fertility, it affects how we feel, how our relationships go,
Yes.
everything, how we sleep. And so, yeah, stress, that's a good one. So,
Yeah.
how do you have like what are some tips that you give your clients on how to manage their stress?
Ooh, good question. Um, well, I give a lot of resources on mindfulness. I think it's really, I mean, I guess I would always tell people like pregnancy is such a time to, it's an opportunity really to kind of look at your life and see what might need to shift before you enter this next stage of parenthood.
Mm,
Um, so I really feel like it's just kind of like you said, it's the time to do the work.
mm,
And for some people, it may just be journaling, it may be yoga, it may be like a meditation practice, like a mindfulness-based practice. For some people, I mean, for most people, honestly, I'm like, let's just do therapy. Why not? Like, what a great time to do it. Like, what a great time to kind of dig through some of the layers that maybe you've built up to be ready for this next really important stage of your life. Um, yeah, I mean, I think those are the main things. I really encourage people to look at their social relationships, their primary relationship, and then their friendships, maybe their relationships with their parents. Like, this doesn't seem like stuff you talk about with your healthcare provider, but this is stuff we kind of talk about. Like, I touch on it with clients too, because you could eat all the kale in the world, but if you kind of are, struggling mentally, it's not gonna matter. Like it's really addressing those kind of primary things. So
mhm.
um yeah, those
Nice.
are some of them.
Love it.
Mhm.
Those are great tips. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, one final question for you was different cultures of care
Mhm.
and like midwifery care versus hospital care.
Yeah. Yes. And you just really touched on it. So I was like, oh, I want to talk about this. Um, I think what we were just saying is a huge part of that. Like, I think that an OB provider is awesome. I think hospital care is great, but I think you need to know if the culture of healthcare that you're getting into really resonates with your family. And there's no judgment either way. So, kind of what you said is, if you kind of are going to more standard OB-GYN care, you're probably going to have pretty short visits. Usually I think on average they're 10 to 15 minutes. You're probably just going to be told what you're doing that day. Um, there's not a lot of information on why or alternatives. There really is a system that it's preferred that people kind of go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think for some people, they find that very comforting, right? Kind of like you were saying, which is just like, just tell me what I'm supposed to do and I'll do it. um, and I think that if you feel like that's the kind of person you are, like, I don't want a ton of information. I just would like to be told I will just fit in with kind of the mainstream system, then that is so great to know about yourself. Um, Midwifery care is really different. Kind of like I mentioned, there's that collaborative focus. So we are coming together as kind of partners in your care. Our visits are pretty long. They're usually at least an hour, and we're going over all kinds of stuff. And in sharp contrast to visits with your OB, where some OBs are more amenable to questions being asked, I really love when people are like, oh, I have so many questions. Let me pull them up. I'm like, oh, yay. It really shows you're kind of like engaged with the process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and I would say, yeah, it's just different. It's way more heartfelt. It's way more connected. Um, we're kind of going through all aspects of life, but I think that collaborative part is really different. So when I have clients who are like, I'll just do whatever you recommend, I'm like, whoa, it's not really like that.
Yeah.
Um, or because I'm like, well, it sounds like you need more information so you can make a good decision for yourself. I think it goes back to that. I could not possibly know for each individual the best course of care. Only that person will know that. And it's part of my job to help you tap into finding the answers that are right for you. Um, and honestly, I really see it as setting people up for parenthood, because when all is said and done with your birth and your birth team is gone, you are sitting and making all the decisions around being a parent. So it's a great time to really be practicing what feels good for you, you know?
Nice. I
Yeah.
never really like put those two together, but that makes so much sense. So if you're
Mhm.
being told everything, then you have this
Yeah.
baby. There's nobody telling you anything. Wow.
No. And I think that's why people really flounder postpartum, to be like, well,
Mhm.
how do I do this? Now I'm not seeing anyone. And, you know, just
Mhm.
somebody tell me how to do this. And that can be a really lonely time for that reason. But if you have a bit of a foundation on tapping into your deep knowing and what really feels best for you, then I do think it sets people up for motherhood and parenthood in a different way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Once you go midwifery, you never go back.
You don't usually go back. That's true.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this has been super special, Shawna. Is there like anything that you want to conclude with or anything else that you'd like to say, or no pressure, but just to have.
Yeah, no pressure. Well, thank you so much for having me and asking me to do this. I really appreciate it. I could definitely kind of wax poetic about, oh, I could talk for like 10 times this long about all of this. So I appreciate just an opportunity to just kind of plant some seeds of some different ideas around care.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and to the Uniquely One community, just kind of in conclusion, again, Shawna is here in Colorado, but she does do virtual appointments. And if you're looking for an amazing ancillary person to have in your court, Shawna would be incredible. She has a very warm personality. She's very well versed in what she does. She's super passionate about it. And I will have all of her contact information available. So if you guys have questions or want to reach out to her, you can do it via her website, and I'll give you her email and phone number also. So
Great.
awesome, Shawna. Well, you have a beautiful day, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Laura Jane. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
we'll be in touch.
Okay, bye-bye.